Welcome back, Helldivers. A recent YouTuber whose content I've really been enjoying is a channel called The Cursed Judge. Just a few days ago, he released a new video titled Games You Should Only Play Once. Now, this video is incredibly well written and put together. The quality of this guy's work is something that I aspire to reach one day. All of that being said, I'm going to discuss a single section of this 42-minute video that mentions Helldivers 2. I really want to urge you to go watch Judge's video first, and then subscribe to him if you haven't already, because his content really is amazing. I will do my best to recap what he says in relation to Helldivers 2. So Judge's video has a very broad topic, and in one section he brings up Helldivers 2 as a prime example of a forever game. A game that never ends and is always alive. He talks about how as these games grow older, the creators must continue to expand the space that you play in. Not the physical space, but the space that the game holds in your catalog. They need new characters or weapons or game modes, so on and so forth, so that the game can never end. But all games, like everything in life, must come to an end. Player bases drop, and support gets slower from the developers, but these constant updates and additions are meant to delay the inevitable. As Judge says in his video, the constant shuffling and shifting and endless addition is done to fight exactly one thing: the irreversible change that comes with an endless re-experience. Judge does such an amazing job crafting his words that I just want to play portions of his videos here, but I feel that to be lazy creating on my end and somewhat plagiaristic. He tells us at the start of a new game it is as fun as it gets. At the beginning of a launch, no one knows what the rules of the game really are, and there's this sense of discovery of what works and what you can get away with. As a game lives on, though, the discoveries soon turn into the smallest nuances that can be found. As Judge says, they discover everything the game has to offer. Okay, now Judge speaks about Helldivers 2. He mentions that the game is very fun, but that the rot has already begun to spread. Looking at Reddit and Twitter, you can find many players already making their own rules for the game, that if you don't bring the right stratagems or weapons into a game, that you should be kicked. Additionally, he criticizes the mini-industry of YouTubers that primarily focus on builds and guides for what the best weapons and strategies are, saying that the game is even further constricted because players flock to using only a specific set of strategies or items, while calling out for buffs and nerfs to everything else. He says it's becoming more and more common these days to not just start to restrict the functional play area, but to do so intentionally. Now, there's still another 30 minutes left to Judge's video at this point, so please watch that so that you can get the fuller picture of what he's talking about. But it did make me want to look at these two issues and give my opinion on the state of Helldivers 2. The first topic is that of toxic players who have set up their own guidelines for how the game should be played. This is an issue that will always persist in games and media and really everything. My buddies and I enjoy playing a game called Insurgency Sandstorm, and more often than not, if we are not playing with the exact same gear or at the exact same skill level as a longtime player, we are harassed or even team killed. And it's frustrating. You just want to play the game, but the way you play is not acceptable to others. My favorite example is from the game when I threw a grenade, an action that then makes your in-game character call out that they've thrown a grenade, to which I was then killed by my teammate because I did not specifically hop on the mic and tell him exactly where I threw my grenade. When I asked him why, because the game tells you that you've thrown a grenade, his reason was that in real war, that's how they do it. Some people take games far more seriously than I do. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with taking a game very seriously. You may really enjoy stepping into that role. After all, it's not real life. That's what games are for. You can step into a world that you really don't live in. But it should never be at the cost of someone who enjoys the game at a different level than you. So, can this be remedied? Can we fix the issue? Well, as a community, we can always strive to be more accepting and friendly, and not so hell-bent on a meta. I've said this before in another video. I've grown to hate that word so much, as it immediately signals to me that if I'm not playing the exact way that other players have deemed as the most optimized, then I should just not play. So, yes and no. It's up to the community to be more welcoming and accepting of all the different ways people can play. For me, personally, I've been lucky not to run into anyone who team kills me because I'm not running the same exact stratagem loadout as they are. Perhaps this is more common in higher difficulties, and you can see as to why. Yes, some items in the game do perform better than others, especially in harder missions, but still, that should not be a reason to create a toxic community known for how closed off it is. The second topic I wanted to discuss was the harm that YouTubers can do to a game by micromanaging every single possible build, strategy, and more. This topic is a little harder to cover on because I am one of those YouTubers who talks about the games and strategies from time to time. I have stopped doing my weapon review videos because I feel that there's other people out there who can do it much better, but I'm also not as interested in the nitty-gritty details of the game, such as the exact spread of a shotgun blast, or if crouching in between running can save you 0.4 seconds of stamina regen. It's not wrong to care about those things, or to do the work to discover them. In fact, the YouTubers that do these tests, I hold in very high regard because the amount of dedication they put into getting it right is astonishing. It's because of their love for the game that they want to uncover as much as they can. And again, while I think that's fantastic and admirable, I choose not to partake because for me, seeing the exact numbers, or seeing how things work under the hood, takes away a bit of the fun for me. You may enjoy knowing all of it because you do want to maximize your runtime in a mission. I think Judge's point here in his video is really not taking aim at the people who make that type of content, but how the content can erode a game's sense of discovery so quickly. If you fully ingrain yourself in these details and guides, the game quickly becomes old because, as he said, you've discovered everything it has to offer. And for that point, I do agree with Judge. But again, that's just personally. I choose not to partake in that type of content as much as I used to, because I really enjoy Helldivers 2. But I don't want to get to the point where the reason I play the game is so that I can see if that 10% damage increase really makes a difference on a specific weapon, or if this set of light armor really does have 2 extra seconds of running time. Hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm attacking Judge in his video. I think the work he does is fantastic. It's such good work that it made me think about these points in Helldivers 2, and it spurred me to put this video together telling you my thoughts. So to conclude, first, go watch Judge's video and subscribe to him if you haven't. He really is an amazing content creator. 2, I'm very appreciative that I have not experienced much toxic behavior in the game, and I hope we can keep the community friendly and inviting, even on higher level difficulty missions. And 3, if you enjoy knowing the nitty-gritty of the game, that's great, but I'm not going to partake in that side of content, because for me personally, it can easily lead to the game feeling more like a chore and not a joy to play. Thanks for watching, and as always, go spread democracy.